Greetings, humans. We are going to be moving on to our next set of root words, and these deal with the root tract. Okay, this actually is technically a word, like you can have a tract of land, but we're not going to be looking at that. So don't be fooled. Before we begin, you're going to need your note cards. I'd recommend that you cut them out before you start doing this. Just because that'll make it easier and you'll have to do less work. But hey, if you want to do more work later and make it harder for yourself, I'm not going to stop you. You'll also obviously need a pen or pencil so you can take notes. Now, I won't necessarily give you every single answer that you're going to need for your note cards, but I will give you a lot of information to get you started. All right, so here we go. The root word tract overall, it means to drag or pull. All right, so we can't use this as a synonym for drag or pull. We can't say I'm going to, tract my little brother in the wagon because it's not actually a word in that sense. But the root word itself means drag or pull. So let's get into our first word, which is extraction. All right, I picked this one first because it makes really good use of prefixes and suffixes. So if we look, we've got this track, and then the T can go either with the suffix or here, it doesn't really matter, in the center, and then we've got X, and we've got TION. So think back to what you know about X, like think about exoskeleton or exit. They all have to do something with like out or outside, okay? And then TION turns it into a noun, like the action of something. And then we've got pull. So we've got the act of pulling something out. So you'll often hear this if you're talking about like the dentist, like, oh, I'm going into the dentist for an extraction. They're going to pull a tooth out. Or if you play military style video games, or if you know someone in the military or you follow stuff like that, if they're doing an extraction of somebody from a dangerous area, they're trying to pull someone out. All right, so you've got pull and then you've got out. All right, retract. So similarly, this one uses a pretty well-known prefix re and then the word tract. So this would technically mean to pull again because we know re means again, but in this case it means like to pull back in. Okay, so if I put out a statement that said, oh, this person is a terrible human being and I really don't like them, and then I retract my statement, that means I take it back. So it means like to pull back or to take back. And then we've got contract. All right, this is one we didn't do this specifically, this prefix con, but if you contract, you pull it back in towards the center. Okay, it's not, pulling back like in a line, like dragging something in. It's, if something contracts, it becomes smaller in all directions. So things that might contract, like a balloon. Okay, you blow up a balloon inside the warm house, you take it out into the cold, and it's going to contract. It's going to get smaller. This also could be the noun contract, which is something you sign that like binds you to something. So it can have those two meanings, and it can be two parts of speech. The one that most closely relates to the root word tract, to drag or pull, is the one that is like getting to get smaller, the verb version. Intractable. Okay, this one is getting a little bit less concrete. So I'm kind of just going to give you the definition, and this is one where if you don't use the word drag or pull in your definition, you will not be faulted because it's there, but it's kind of tricky. So intractable, okay? So in we know means like, opposite or not, or one of those ideas. And then able or able means able to. So not able to pull in. But that's not exactly what it means. It means like something that you can't easily solve. So it's an adjective. So if a problem is intractable, it's a problem that you can't figure out how to solve. Or if like uh, a math word problem is intractable. Like I cannot figure this out. It's so intractable. I don't know if I would say that because this is a very kind of large word. I would just probably say this is a very hard math problem or this is really difficult to solve. But there you have it. Abstraction. Okay, this one has a few meanings. And the one that we're going to be looking at is an abstraction is it's an idea that can't be like touched. It's not something like solid. So an example of an abstraction would be love or beauty. Okay, it's this idea and you kind of know what it is, but it's not super specific. It's the way the dictionary defines it is a general idea or quality rather than an actual person, object, or event, an abstract idea or quality. So beauty, truth, happiness, they're ideas and you can't really like nail them to a specific thing. But this is a weird one. Abstraction in and of itself is an abstraction. Okay, it's a noun. It ends with ion. But just know that it's something that you can't touch or isn't an exact thing. And then the last one. This one's in here and it's kind of interesting because distraught, it's spelled differently. Okay, and if someone is distraught about something, they're very upset. And again, this is another one of those that we're not going to be upset if you can't figure out how to use the word pull or drag. Like, that's totally fine. But just know that sometimes, especially in English, because our system of spelling is so crazy and messed up, that words can come from the same root and have wildly different spellings. So we've got distraught. It just means it's an adjective. It means very upset. Like, we're not talking about like, oh, I'm upset I left my pencil in my locker. We're talking like, I'm upset my dog is missing. Okay, that's an example of a thing you would be distraught over. It's kind of more extreme than just upset. All right. So your next steps are to do your note cards, finish them up. Hopefully, you can go back and watch this video again. That's fine. Make sure you're using the word pull or drag, except for those really, really hard ones, like abstraction and distraught and intractable. If you can figure it out and do it that makes sense, like I've seen some that have been really, really well written that I wouldn't have even thought of, like, oh, that's how you can use that in there. But, do your best. Include the part of speech, and that's where a dictionary is helpful. And then you need to include a synonym, which is a word that means the same thing as this word, or an antonym, so something that means the opposite, or include a drawing, okay? You need to include one of those, okay? Thank you very much and have a great day.